Hi Dom, how are you?
Hi Gerry, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Just on this episode we wanted to talk about power of attorneys. So there's a couple of questions we've got in and I'll just fire straight into them. So what does a power of attorney do, Dom?
Well, a power of attorney gives the person you appoint as your attorney the ability to look after your finances, your welfare as well if you want, deal with all issues that you have relating to health. It's a big serious thing because you're giving somebody the ability to make decisions on your behalf.
So what if I don't entirely trust that person?
Well, don't make them the attorney is the answer to that question. Ultimately is, would you trust the person with your life? Now that sounds a bit grand and extreme, but ultimately if you go for a welfare power of attorney, then that person could at some point have to make decisions, very important decisions, about end of life care and so on. The short answer is, if you don't trust the person entirely, then for goodness sake, don't make them your attorney.
So when I make a person a power of attorney, do they get the powers straight away?
It depends how it's set up, Gerry. If you set it up so that you want it to kick in when the process is complete, then it can be set up to start immediately. Or you can set it up so that it would only kick in such times in the future that you became incapacitated. If you, for example, developed a degenerative illness. So you've got both those options. Either we set it up now, or it sits in the background, it's registered with the Office of Public Guardianship, and it would kick in at such times as you reached incapacity.
So if I just wanted the power of attorney for medical reasons, can you do that?
Yeah, of course you can. You can do it for medical reasons, you can do it for financial reasons, or you can do it for both. The choice is entirely yours.
And how long does that take to set up?
Well, normally the process from start to finish is roughly 4 to 6 weeks. At the moment, with what's going on with the COVID-19 situation, then it will take slightly longer, as indeed most things are taking longer just now. But it's still worth getting the process started because you're then further at the front of the queue.
So what if someone has an urgent request?
Well, they can be expedited in certain circumstances. Now, that is a process that has to be of a very, very urgent need. Because obviously by having a case expedited, you are in some ways maybe going ahead of somebody else that's already in the queue. So it can only be done and it will only be considered if it's vitally urgent.
That's great. That's really good information.
Well, one of the questions I had for you, Gerry, was if I've set up a POA and I decide I want to change the attorney, is that something I can do?
Well, that's a great question because as of last episode, we had questions on complex wills and we've got questions on complex power of attorneys or things you can and can't do. And what I've done is I've asked our legal expert to join us in our next episode and he's going to answer the more complex questions. So if you tune in next week about the same time, we'll answer those questions for you.
That's brilliant, Gerry. Thank you for that.
And thanks for ordering that 2 metre table.
Oh, it's made a big difference, has it? I mean, not only are we at a safe distance, we're at a more comfortable distance apart from each other now.
And we don't have to talk through a mask.
Indeed.
Right, see you soon.